what I'm hearing then is that business analysis is about change, much like change management is, obviously so. But it also sounds like, yes, a regular business analyst, a good solid performer, will have their certifications, they'll have, the cookie cutter approach, and they'll follow that to the letter, and it'll get them from A to B. Not magically so, but it gets them to a point. But a superior business analyst thinks outside the box from what it seems. It looks, that person will truly look at what the business is trying to achieve and work backwards from that goal that the business is trying to achieve. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, I think so. I think I like that point about the business analysis is about change management is about change. So also I've been thinking about it a little bit, and in my view, if we talk about business analysis as a set of skills, right? We can roughly break it down into three main areas or three main pillars, and I'm probably not trying to come up with a universal truth that will work for everybody, but at least in the businesses that I've been exposed to, it kind of worked well. So, and the three pillars, they are what I called scope management, quality management, and change management.
Yep.
So in the scope management skill set, these are all the skills that are related to understanding which problems we're solving, how we're solving them, and which actions or deliverables are going to contribute to the solution of that problem within the constraints of an individual project or individual business. So this is where a BA would spend time running workshops, understanding root causes of the problems, writing down the requirements on different levels. So those who are familiar with any requirement ontology, it is all about scope management. So understanding your business requirements, stakeholder requirements, solution requirements, transition requirements, all that jazz is kind of to help you scope what is it you're going to do.
Yeah.
But that is one skill, right? And this skill is not enough on its own to be extremely valuable for the business, because if all you do is do that, you're potentially missing out on being more valuable for the organization. Yeah. And, as professionals who want to be valuable, it's not a great place to be. So another skill that sits in addition to it, in my opinion, is related to quality management. Now, with quality management, it is actually a very interesting story. So in quality management theory, quality management consists of quality assurance and quality control. So two processes or two sides of the practice. And now in the whole world, in all the industries except for information technology and software development, for whatever weird reason, they mean different things. So if you ask any professional from manufacturing, from, pharmaceuticals, any other business, what is quality assurance? They will come back to you and say, it is a management discipline. It is to make sure that you know what you're doing. You understand your customer, you understand their needs, you have secured the right people with the skills to do the job, and you've set up the delivery processes that will enable you to deliver good, high-quality output. That's quality assurance. And once you've done it, and along the line, you would have quality control procedures. That would be pretty much elements of inspection. So you look at a thing at a certain stage of the life cycle, and you compare it to the specification, how it was meant to be at this stage of the life cycle, and you report on the difference. That's the whole world except for software development. In software development, when you ask people, what is quality assurance? The answer is testing. And that is completely wrong, because if testing is your only quality assurance mechanism on the project, you're in trouble. Because by the time the product is ready to be tested, and if there is something wrong with it, it is too late. Because you will need to spend pretty much the same time to then go back, re-engineer things, and fix all the problems. So I don't know how we ended up in this situation. I don't know who to blame, but there is this very interesting situation with this IT world. So from the BA point of view, and again, in my humble opinion, business analysis as a discipline actually is a part of quality management, and pretty much sitting mostly within the quality assurance part of it. So skills-wise, business analyst needs to be able to not only scope the solution, but also help set up the project for success, implement processes, different, I don't know, meetings, reporting mechanisms, other organizational or technical means to make sure that by the time the products, the team, were ready for final inspection, we're going to pass it from the first attempt or as close to it as possible. And this is where a lot of this, attention to detail, good acceptance criteria come into play, but also a lot of delivery process knowledge comes into play. How to make sure that your team talks to each other, how to make sure that they are aligned with what they're going to deliver, how to make sure that the stakeholders are aligned with your delivery team and they all know what to expect from each other and they know what to get in the end and how to use it. So all these things, they also form this second part of BA skill set.
When I look at that, that's a very interesting point that you made about quality management. So from a decision maker's point of view, the value of a BA seems twofold. It is around quality management. It's around getting the scope right, so stakeholders' expectations are met. But most importantly, it's about being a risk buster, a professional risk buster who comes in, smooths away and eliminates the potential for not only defects, but also that mismanaged expectation. Because I imagine there's not only the build component, but but we asked for all these other bells and whistles and they're not part of this build and they're part of day 2 or after go live. And I think there's a bit of expectations management around that too, so that ultimately the person who's footing the bill for all of us on a project is ultimately happy.
Yeah, that's also a good point. So if we take a step back to this quality definition, so there are different ways how we can define quality. And the one that I like is the degree to which your solution meets expectations. So even if you build a perfectly working piece of software or a piece of machinery, it works well, it does all the things as per specification. If your stakeholders did not expect it to do those things, the project will be a failure because you failed to deliver the value that people expected you to deliver. Although, from the quality control and inspection point of view, it ticks all the boxes from the spec. So, and this is also an area where I believe business analysis plays a big role, is to clarifying those expectations, but also managing them throughout the project, making sure that those interested parties, stakeholders, whatever you call them, they actually have access to the progress. They've got a certain level of transparency to be involved just enough to not be surprised at the end. Because we don't want to surprise people. We want to delight people. That's a different thing. And if they don't know what is going to happen and they're waiting for the big reveal, chances are it will shock them a little bit. So we try to smooth this as much as we can throughout the project.
That makes a lot of sense. I'd imagine user acceptance testing would be a big part of that early reveal, so you can manage some of those expectations and surprises a little bit before go live rather than a very big surprise.
Yeah, more than that, on most successful projects, what we did is we managed to have that user acceptance to happen in parallel with development rather than as a phase in the end. So as soon as a piece of solution is ready, even if it is like a tiny, bolt out of the whole spaceship, if we can show it to the people and get feedback and make sure they're happy, it reduces the chances of having awkward conversations in the end when people don't understand, what the thing is and how to work with it. It also helps with training, and it kind of leads to the third skill from my little BA skill set diagram that I have in my head, which is change management. So I think the way I think about it, and maybe it's influence of the business environment that I work with, how we tend to interact with our clients is we often do not commit to managing change on the client's behalf. This is not our main specialty, and more than that, I do not believe it is something we should be doing for the clients, because if they initiate a project internally, like big established business, they decided they need to change something, it kind of makes sense for them to look after it and make sure it is successful in many aspects. But what we can do as an external party that comes into play and that helps them is we can help with elements of change management that we are more proficient in. And these are usually around reusable things, our expertise. We know the technology, we know best practice from previous implementations. We can support with processes and advice, but we really want a champion for the change to be sitting somewhere within the business to actually drive the stakeholder engagement, drive the activities that need to originate from the business with our support. And this way, first of all, there is less resistance because it doesn't seem like an external party comes in and tells everybody what to do. But also it kind of probably builds a bit more of appreciation from the client side of what we are doing. And they, while doing though, they also understand the complexities and the decisions made within the technology solution or UX solution or whatever is the project that we are engaged with. So it kind of helps both parties, right? The internal change management function or sponsor or whoever is managing that, but also the stakeholders within the business, because for them it's easier, but also us, because it makes our life easier when there's this support from the client side as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think you're right in that with change management, you can provide the sort of structure, but it's the internal business owners who are going to end up holding the baby that need to lead that change. And I mean, it provides value for people like myself because we can go in and absorb the technical solution to a reasonable degree, so we can explain it to the average employee whose employee experience that we're changing. And I think by having the sponsors with skin in the game as well, that makes a big difference. They can see the complexity of grappling with unions and various stakeholder groups and navigating the politics to make sure that the people side of change is embedded as well, because that's a pretty messy part of any implementation. So yeah, can certainly see how BAs and change work in concert